This is the Michigan China Paint Teachers Association, and we're doing a Zoom meeting to teach you how to make this ball plate. And like I said, you will need yellow, green, brown, red for colors to paint on it. And you will also need some leaves in order to press them in. And the more leaves that you have, the better with the veins in the back, because they will press on better. So I'm going to move over now to the other camera, which will show you the piece that I'm working on. And so now I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to dip it, and I use Turpenoid Natural. It's one of my favorites. And I am going to pick a color, and I think it's best if you can start with the lightest colors. So this is the way I get a dark color. I learned this in Canada. You wiggle in the color like this, and then you apply it, and it actually comes out a lot stronger than if you just paint it alone. And you're going to paint swatches of that color. You can paint over the letters, there's not a problem, but just don't let the paint build up by the letters. So if you go towards the letter, then go back away from the letter just so the paint doesn't build up. And you could do this a couple of different spots. You can do it there, you can do it down here. Come up a little here so you can see. There we go. And I'm just going to be applying this color. And if it's not real smooth, you don't have to worry about that. You're going to press your leaves into this, but it would be nice if it were fairly smooth. So do your best. But like I said, if it's not completely smooth, that's fine. Because when you press your leaves in, you will see that it doesn't, being smooth is not as much of an issue anymore, because the leaves will leave an imprint and hide any real imperfections that you have in the background. Now I start with the lightest color first, because as you drag the darker colors onto the plate, they can smear into each other. You're trying to keep your colors as pure as possible. So I like a lot of yellow, so I'm putting a lot of yellow on here. Okay, then I'm going to use the turpentine or whatever you have for a brush cleaner to clean my brush. And I'm going to maybe use my next darkest color, which I think for me would be like a chartreuse. So I'm going to wiggle in my chartreuse and paint some chartreuse on here. See how that helps? You really get some beautiful colors in here. And like I said, wiggle in your color. And here, this is a good example. Okay, so here's a light color, and it's not thick. But if I wiggle in my color and I paint over it, do you see how much darker it gets? That's what you're looking for, okay? And I usually put it on a couple of places. You want to repeat the color. I tried to repeat it 3 times. Oops, got a little brown in it there. Not a big deal. But see how if you mix your colors, they'll start to get kind of muddy. So you want to make sure that as much as possible, you start with the lightest and work to the dark, and then that way you will have more of a better color setup. Okay, I'll come down here so you can kind of see the whole thing. All righty, and then I'm going to take my red. Red's a good color. Oops, that's not very bright. This is, I'm using Carnation. It's one of my favorite reds. It doesn't, if you get it next to yellow, it will not, at least for me, it hasn't had a problem with fading being next to yellow. And you're going to take these colors kind of right up next to each other, but try not to make them touch, just because you really want to keep the purity of the colors. That's kind of what you're going for here. And then maybe I'll do some down here. And let's do a little over maybe this way. Down here at the bottom. You're going to take it right to the edge of your plate eventually. So if you want to do that now with some of the colors that you're applying, that's fine. There you go. Kind of get them to fade a little into each other. I mean, you don't want it so there's this line where one ends and another begins. Okay. Now I have the browns. Well, actually, I have a darker green. This is a royal green. It's a really pretty green. I like grass green, royal green. Um, let's see, olive green. They're all really nice colors, and they usually go on pretty vibrant and stay vibrant when you fire them, because this is really a one fire technique. So you're not going to be doing this a whole lot. Let's move up at the top here and do a little, how about up in here? Add a little green. And if you're doing this for winter, the Berkeley group, they did it with all blues, purples, and different whites and what have you, things that had a little shine to it. That will also help you get a real pretty background that you can use. And then they just took like a plastic wrap and crunched it up and blotted it. And that gave them kind of a crystalline look to it. And it was really, really pretty. Now I'm going to paint up in here. I want to make sure you can see it. Okay. I had to put a little green up in here. Now, take your time. You don't have to paint quite this fast. You can apply your colors slowly. You can use a brush twice this size if you want, if you have a big plate. I did this big plate because it accommodates the leaves a little better to have a bigger plate, but you can do it on a small one. The last one I did before this was a fairly small plate, and it worked fine too. Okay. Now I'm going to try my favorite color. I like red grape. It's very unexpected on these plates. So I'm going to be over on this side here, and I'm going to apply the red grape. And you think, red grape, ugh, but it really is kind of pretty. I still have to do orange. There we go. And maybe take that right to the end there and just smooth it. And as you're going through these colors, kind of think about them. Do you want to smooth them at all? Do you see how it's coming together? It's kind of cool. Let me do my orange yet. This is a dark orange. Yeah, it really does look a lot like the red for some reason. I don't know why, but it does today. I think it might be the lighting in here. Now, eventually, what I'm going to do is clear off the rim on this. I'll put a little orange up in here. And usually if you're painting towards the rim, just paint right out towards the rim. It'll work better for you. And then when you clean off that rim, it'll cover it just fine for you. Okay, and I have now one other color I should put on here. And it can be any color. I haven't put any brown, so I think I'm going to use brown. But use your best judgment, as far as your color combinations. Whatever it is you like, that's what you should be using. And I'm just plopping it on, and then I'm kind of smoothing it around. When you smooth, you go back on the handle of your brush and just pull it lightly, and that will help smooth it. And it'll also keep it from kind of getting into the other colors quite so much. It'll get rid of some of those brush strokes. You also should turn it and paint towards yourself, and always try to get the colors, pull the dark into the dark. Don't pull it out into the lighter colors or you'll lose your lighter colors. There we go. And then I've got one more here that I want to paint. And I'm going to do that with the dark brown too. Okay, now I'm going to look at this. If you have a sponge and you want to sponge some of this, you could do that. If there's some spots you don't like, you can always just take your finger and tap it too. And that sometimes will help you. But bottom line is you want it to look pretty much like it does. Now I'm going to take my leaf. Let's start with this leaf. This is probably one of the better leaves. I'm going to go up here where it's dark so you can really see what it's done. And I'm going to set the leaf on and I'm going to hold it in the middle and I'm going to press it outward from the middle to get that imprint on here. And we brought some wildlife in with it. We have a bug that's floating around here too. And there you go. That's what it looks like. And if you want to use it again, you can always wipe it off on your towel and then press it somewhere else. I'm going to use this little guy. He's pretty cute. Let's go over here where it's more green. And I'm going to press from the center out on the leaf. You hold the center of the leaf and you press from the center out. Press the stem down. I don't think I got the tips on this, so let's press up a little further. There we go. That's better. There you go. Now you can see that a little better. And I'm just turning this as I go. Here I have it's a pussy willow leaf. Pussy willow leaf doesn't really show up that well. So if you find that happens, you can just here's another leaf. I'm going to put this other leaf like next to it, and I'll just do that. This one has a little better vein structure on the back, and that's kind of what you're looking for. Press it down, and then just lift it up. Okay, looks like my best one has been the hydrangea. It just has a better structure overall. So I'll put that down here. I'll get the end of it and just press, press, press. Press along each one of those veins and then hold it and press on the other side all the way from the center out. Okay. Let's see who we have here. Here's another one I have. Now, if it turns out, and I'm using a drying semi-wet medium, semi-open medium. So if it turns out that your leaf is not cooperating with you because some of the background there, that one turned out pretty well, has dried up. One of the things you can do is take your brush. Let me just put one more on here and then we'll do it. Let me try this one here. Okay. Pat it down real well. Pull the leaf out. Okay. You can take your brush, and it can be either the brush you used or another brush, and you're going to dip it in your turpentine like this, and then you're going to take and wipe it off as best you can, and you can do a few of these, just pulling them out, helping the shape of the leaf come through. So I might do it here, wipe it on my towel, in here. Oops, I don't know if you can see that way down there. Here. And that will help you get the effect you want. And then the last thing we're going to do is lift our letters. Now, usually I have this little pin that I can do it with, but in this case, I have my palette knife, and I'm just going to lift my letters and remove them. Come on. And you do this before you fire it. And in this case, you see right here, I could use a little more paint to separate the two L's. So you can go in and you can do that. So that's one of the reasons you want to do this ahead of time, is so that before you fire it, you know what it's going to look like when it fires. Take this one off. There we go. Oh, there. Right here. And one last letter, and then we're done. Okay. Alrighty. And then if you have a Q-tip or just your finger, you can go around the edge and get any of that color that is kind of messed up there off. Turn it as you go, turn the plate as you go. There we go. This is the one I just did. Give you an idea to see how it looks when it's done. And you could take and maybe go around those letters and what have you and make them a little darker, or color them in if you don't want them to be white. But you have to be very careful if you do that. And can you see my leaves on there? There's a leaf up there. There's some leaves in there. They're a little harder to see on the lighter colors. It's probably better to use the darker colors as we go. And then this is the one that I originally did. And this one had more dark colors. It had more browns, greens, and that red grape and orange. And I think that helped these leaves show up a little better. So for those of you that tuned in, we really appreciate it. Make sure you check us out on Paint, Fire, and Repeat on YouTube to see some of our other videos. We have one up there recently with the resist. We also have pansies and daisies and all kinds of things. This is your opportunity to share some of the teachers that we have here in Michigan. So I look forward to our next one, the first Friday in October. And if you're interested in getting information, please message me through the Michigan World Organization of China Painters Facebook site, and give me your email that way, and I will add you to our list.